And we're back to talk more about modifiers. I've loaded up my my model here to use some modifiers on, and what we're going to do is just make some shapes that we could use for a normal vehicle. At this point, we're probably just starting to get the hang of some of the modeling tools, and so if the modifiers can make some interesting, cool stuff for our vehicle or car, then that's what we want. So I'm going to start by just making some shapes down here. So I'm going to make some cylinders. There we go. Kind of move these around. Let me real quickly, let me get my ship here a little bit more organized. Let's put the ship lower. There we go. And we'll put this piece down with it. There we go. Okay, so that we can see what we're doing here. Oops. I'm going to give this height segments, and I'm going to put a simple bend on it like we saw in the last video. So this one will just bend. There we go. We'll make it 180. You can type in the numbers on any of these. Something I should point out, these little sliders here, don't just click on them one at a time. So don't click. Just hold down and slide up and down with them. And if you do that, you'll be able to move a lot quicker. I notice some students always like to just click on them, and it takes forever, so don't do that. I'm going to knock the radius down on this a little bit. There we go. We'll go ahead and size this down. I think I'm going to make it really pretty small, and I'm going to bump the radius up on it. I think that's probably pretty good. And then I'm just going to place this over here on my ship. There we go. We'll rotate it just to give us some interesting details. And I'm going to clone this. So I'll clone it twice. And you can see that when I'm done, holding down Control to select those, I'm just going to rotate these and position them a little bit. And we'll sink them right down into that mesh so that I can start to get some cool looking details. If you want to color everything the same color, you just come over to your color swatch, pick a color, and they'll all be the same color. I think that was him. Yeah. Now it's a different color. Thought that was the original color. Let's make it that one. That was probably the original color. Okay, so that was bend. Let's do something similar again with another cylinder in this case. And this one I'm going to do something similar to what I did in the last video. So I'm going to use stretch. And we'll kind of stretch that up. I'm going to put a taper on it. And there is a reason I'm doing the same ones over again that you've already seen. You can see that I can make that type of shape. But what if I was to drag taper below stretch? I can get a hold of these modifiers, and by clicking on them, see that blue line there in the stack? I can drag it below stretch, and I'm going to get a very different result. So now, when I taper it, it's affecting the cylinder first, and then stretch is being applied, or I can move it back up to the top. And so it's important which way you position these in your stack, and if you're not sure, just move them around. And they're very easy to deal with that way. I'm going to put an edit poly here. I'm going to go to my polygons. We saw something similar to this in the last video. And then I'm going to grab those bottom polygons there. I'm going to put a bevel on them. Local normal, so they move in all directions equally. Local normal, there we go. I have the bottom selected, that's why. deselect the bottom. There we go. And now, if I get these guys dialed in the right direction, now I can get what I want. I'm going to make something like that. Looks like an interesting structure. And I'm going to shrink it down because it's just a wee bit too big. There we go. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop some of the vertices off of this, polygons. There we go. And we'll make that little doodad stuck on our ship here. Rotate it into position. And I don't know what it is, but it looks kind of cool. I'll just stick it over here. We'll clone that a few times. And I'm going to make this one slightly bigger just to vary the size a little bit. There we go. So you can see we could start to decorate this. And again, I said earlier in the videos, don't worry about this vehicle really looking especially like anything. It's just going to be a lot better to learn if you just add stuff. Don't worry about if it looks real. Don't worry about if yours looks too much better than somebody else's. It's really not going to matter in the long run. Okay, I'm going to go to box this time. And we'll make a simple box. I'm going to segment my box a little bit just to have something to work with. I'm going to go up to my modifiers. And this time I think I'm going to pick, how about spherify. This one we haven't talked about. And what spherify is going to do is kind of squish my box into the shape of a sphere. And you can see there, doesn't look like much, but remember those segments. If I add more segments to it, I can, you can see, get kind of a spherified or sphere-like box. Looks kind of like a blowfish. So there we go. Go back down to box. And let's position this one, make this kind of into a little storage container. So similar to what we did with our last box. This up here, I think I'm going to put some little clamp-like structures on it. So under spherify here, in this case I'm going to collapse it all down. You'll see why here in a second. If I hold down shift, shift ain't going to work for me. There we go. And I don't need those, I just need these over here. There we go. So this green zoom extents makes it so I can see this sphere a little bit better. All right, and I'm going to bevel those. No, I'm not. I think what I'm going to do is strip these off. So hold down shift, left mouse button, clone to object. This is now a separate object. And I'm going to go over to the side here. And the reason I'm in vertex mode and editable, I'm in edit mesh, that's part of the problem. Editable poly is I'm going to scale those into each other and straighten them out so that I end up with a straight clamp that sort of fits. There we go. And it's not bad. I'm going to take these bottom edges here Scoot them down. There we go. Go over to the other side, same thing. We'll just stretch them down. I'm going to move those outward so they come out around that box we just made. And then we'll come up here, select all those polygons in our object, and I'm just going to bevel those. Put this on local normal. That's way too much. Calm that guy down a little bit, untangle it. There we go. And now I have a little clamp to hold that in place. Sink this down there. So now let's go put this onto our ship. And I think what I'm going to do is kind of tuck it in underneath one of these wings. Right in here. Get it to be kind of aligned with the shape that we've got. I'm going to use stretch on this, local. I'm just going to stretch it out a little bit, and we'll clone it. Again, we're in view, so I'm going to go to local. That's going to align those gizmos along to my model. And I think we'll just leave those guys. And just sink them down in a little bit more. I think will look good. There we go. Okay. And now just using modifiers, we've made some little parts and pieces for our aircraft here. Let's see what that looks like. Let's hit render. And you can see now we're starting to get some details. So play with the modifiers. They're pretty interesting how they work, in that it's going to make life a lot easier for you here at the beginning if you can rely on some tools that just do something, you know what they do. Within about 10 videos, we'll have covered some more ways to do things like bend and tapering and all. There's lots of different routes to go for some of these processes, but modifiers will be the easiest way for you for the time being. So we'll be back in the next video in a little bit. I will see you there. Bye.